in the face of this big, huge cement building that lets nobody in without an appointment, and you can't even create an appointment, and there's no phone numbers, and they won't even talk to you when you go to the door. What do? You just don't give up, you know? It was like I fail, fail, fail. So, story of an epic fail that I had this week. So, my wife and I are in London right now because we're traveling, but we stopped here, her home country, to do the last stage of the process of her getting a USA visa so that she could come with me to America, where she could work and stay. It's been a long process, lots of headaches, paperwork, money, background checks, medical checks, like everything you can imagine, and more. So it's been tough. So we're so excited to have finally finished it last week. At her visa interview, she was approved, and they said, "Congratulations, your visa will be coming by courier in a few days, and then once you get it, then you can go to the States." So we didn't know when it would come, so waited until we had the word from the courier that yes, the visa is here. We can go and pick it up at the courier office in London. Got that word on Thursday, I believe, and then Thursday, no, sorry, I got it on Wednesday. On Wednesday, I went to online as soon as I got the notice that the visa was available to be picked up, and that morning I went and bought the flights for this weekend, for Saturday, to the States for both of us. Really expensive last minute right now. It was like $2,800 for just 2 one-way flights to the States from London, and then I went out to the courier right before I went to meet my friend in London, and got to the courier office, got the package, easy, no problem, opened it up. It's a big kind of plastic bag, pulled the passport out, awesome. Saw a big white envelope like this one, and I was like, great, this is a huge envelope, I can't really carry this in my bag, let me just take the papers out that are inside, because I could feel it was quite small. Really excited just having it, and just started tearing the envelope open. That was a bad move. Didn't realize that you weren't supposed to open that envelope. You were supposed to bring it with you to the United States. So after opening it, I flipped it over before I threw it away, and I read the back. Oops. Shit. And then in that moment, it was like 6 months of work and effort have come down to this massive screw up at the last minute. So I started reading through the other papers that came with it, and it said if this envelope is opened, it must be returned, it voids the visa, you cannot go to the States. I was like, holy shit. Uh-oh. Stress mode. So I was supposed to be meeting my friend. I was supposed to meet him at a Starbucks. I ended up going to the wrong Starbucks and sitting there for like 20 minutes until he called me and said, "Where are you?" I was like, "Oh, I'm here." Oops, wrong one. So I finally met up with him, and I was like in a total, my head was just like, oh, what am I gonna do? So I'm immediately problem solving mode, right? Luckily having my friend James there to just kind of like take me back into that place, that stoic place, as much as he could, of like just focusing on what do you need to do, what can you do. So just got into my resourcefulness and started trying to figure everything out. Went back to the courier, asked them if they dealt with it, because I had Googled. A bunch of people have had this challenge, this problem, like they've opened it by mistake, what do we do? Some people said they had to courier it back and wait 2 weeks. I'm like, I don't have 2 weeks, I'm flying on Saturday. And now, this is where you would think, well, just call the embassy, right? No, embassy doesn't have a phone number. They used to, and it used to be able to, you could talk to an operator, but not anymore. Now it's just information. You literally, as an immigrant, in the immigrant process, you cannot talk to anybody in the immigrant office at all. And so, okay, well then just go there, great. So James and I came over to the US Embassy, come to the front of the building, there's no way you're getting in. They won't even really open the door all the way. They kind of crack the door, just talk to you through the crack. And the guy's like, nope, you can't get in. I was like, well, he's like, make an appointment. I was like, well, I can't make an appointment because you can only make appointments if you have a letter from them saying you have an appointment to come for a visa. It's like, no, you can do it on the website, trust me. I was like, okay, went home, pulled up the website, no, you can't make an appointment. And there's no phone number to call. All there is a tiny little web form where you can fill it out and they get back to you within 5 days. My wife sent a message via the web form on Wednesday, please, this is our situation, we're traveling on Saturday, can you help us? Can we come in, have it resealed? They emailed her back saying, send us the thing, it takes 2 weeks. But if you are traveling sooner than that, then let us know and we'll set up an appointment for you. Great. But we already said we're traveling Saturday, so are they really reading the emails? Wrote back again, no response. Wrote back again the next morning, Thursday morning, no response. Thursday afternoon, no response. And I'm finally like, crap, they're not getting back to us. So I get on the phone and I'm like, there's got to be a phone number at the embassy somewhere where there's a beating heart, there's a human being that I can actually talk to. So I just started looking up on Google every single phone number that the embassy has, old phone numbers, new phone numbers, and just calling them and trying to pushing 0, even if it didn't say you could. And I finally found a number where by pushing 0, I was able to get some kind of operator on the phone. And they were like so confused that I was even calling, and they, who are you? What do you, why? Well, how am I talking to you? Told the story. They just ended up just transferring me, everybody, to somewhere, and I just rang, got to a voicemail, and that just kept happening. So I just kept calling, telling the story, keep getting transferred somewhere to a voicemail. But then I decided I'm just gonna start leaving messages, and I started telling the story on the voicemails. Now, at that point, I was like, I'm just not gonna give up. I'm gonna try to do everything I possibly could, and then finally, I stopped calling because I was just doing the same thing over and over again, and people that were answering the phone kind of started to remember who I was, and they're like, yeah, well, there's nothing you can do, you have to use the web form, just wait, sorry. 5:30 that evening, my phone rings, and on it says no caller ID, and I have been ignoring those calls because they've been mostly people trying to, like, telemarketers and stuff calling, so I almost didn't answer it, but I did. And it's like, hello, and it's like, hello, deep voice, this is blah 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 from the US Embassy in London, is this John Morgan? I was like, yes, holy shit. I was like, at that point I had an apple in my hand and some almond butter, and I was like, just like threw it on the table. I was like, I gotta get my pen and my notes, I gotta be focused. So I ended up talking to the dude, and he basically was a guy who is in charge of the entire fraud investigations department. He knows the whole system, and he knows exactly when envelopes get opened, they get sent to him, basically. So he called me, and he's like, so I said, look, man, I'm so sorry, it's the stupidest thing I ever did. He's like, didn't you get married? Isn't that the stupidest thing you ever did? And he's like, kind of like teasing me. And anyway, long story short, he says, come in tomorrow morning, I show up around 8 o'clock, be waiting for me outside the US Citizens entry, and I'll take your package in for you. Bring your passport, bring your wife, she doesn't need to come, let her sleep, and I'll take care of it. And so I showed up today, 7:30 a.m., nice and early, standing there with my package and the 2 passports. The guy shows up, says no problem, takes it, walks in, comes back out like 10 minutes, all sealed, brand new, and off we are, ready to go. Just wanted to check, make sure it had the official stamp on it. Off we are, ready to go now tomorrow on our flights to the States. And I ended up standing there for an hour and talking to this guy, really interesting dude, ex-military, traveled the world for years, stationed all over the world with his wife and his kids. Told me about what it was like growing up in different parts of the world, told me all about what he does there. He's basically the only person at the embassy who works for the border control and fraud investigation in America. He's kind of like Home Office, Homeland Security working here. Told me loads of crazy stories about basically why they have all these processes, why they're trying to make it they want everybody in, but they want steps to slow things down, because there's so many, every single day people try to getting into the States using fraud. I couldn't have guessed it was that much. Every day people show up at the embassy pretending to be somebody they're not. Every day people are trying to sneak stuff into the country, and so he's, catching people all the time. He told me how they use facial recognition and fingerprint scanning on everything now. Every single camera everywhere that you go that has to do with the embassy, at airports and stuff, they're scanning your face. They can identify you within seconds using the camera, using the computers. He's one of the only people at the embassy that has access to FBI databases, police databases, all airport databases, Interpol in the UK partnership. I mean, he basically has access to everything. It was so really interesting listening to him, and he told me about how when you check in for a flight, between the moment you check in at the check-in desk and the moment you sit, and when you're waiting on the plane, there's like a window there of an hour or two. In that window, they will often identify people, cross-reference, and then they'll send the police in to arrest them, or will take them off the plane, not arrest them, before they even end up going to this. So the U.S. government will send people to the airport to take you off a plane before you even get on the plane to go to the States, so they don't have to deal with you at the other end. So it was pretty wild listening to him. But what's the moral? Why am I sharing this? Besides it's a story. Number one, like the massive failure, massive screw up, being way too fast, way too in a hurry. As soon as I tore the package open and saw that I shouldn't, I could hear my coach inside my head saying, slow down, John. If I hadn't been in such a hurry, I would have seen the words, I wouldn't have opened it. Another one, like going immediately into resourcefulness the moment something stressful happens. I mean, I could have just freaked out. So one of the things I did is like, okay, what's worst case scenario? What's the absolute worst case? Worst case scenario, we end up having to do it through the courier process, wait 2 more weeks, below $3 grand. Okay, worst case, good. Can I accept that? Yes. Relax, chill out, focus on what else is possible. But the biggest and most important thing is, in the face of this big, huge cement building that lets nobody in without an appointment, and you can't even create an appointment, and there's no phone numbers, and they won't even talk to you when you go to the door, what do? You just don't give up, you know? It was like, I fail, fail, fail. I have my apprentices playing this game this month, the fail game. How many times can you fail? Fail as many times as you can, because what you realize when you attempt things where you're certain that failure will happen is that opportunities open up. Things happen where you're pretty much sure that you can't have that success. And so I think the biggest thing for me is just, you know, every single time I've gone through a visa process, whether I'm in, you know, when I was in Germany going through it, at the UK here, and now with my wife going through it for the States, one thing I've learned is persistency and tenacity in the face of people saying no to you is paramount. And if you just keep going, there's always a way. And just like this guy was saying, there's always a way, like about fraud investigation, there's always a way to make stuff happen. There's always a way, you know, there's even a way to get to the US Embassy. And this is what I love, they create this whole system to protect the people on the inside from having human contact with people on the outside, because human contact is a way in. There's empathy, right? And so because I was able to get my voice onto the voicemail of this guy, this human being who has the power to do something, and able to him to hear my story and to feel my heart with his heart, he was, you know, he was inspired to call me back and to help me out. The humanity, you know, it's like they're trying so hard to isolate the humanity because they know that's a way in. And so there's always a way in, there's always a way to find and contact the humanity, and once you can do that, then it's from there, it's just empathy, it's just story, it's just being vulnerable and honest and being, you know, upright. I was polite, calling him sir and all that thing, respecting his authority, and very thankful. And I am thankful, and I got to learn a lot about the system, immigration system in the US, yeah, good experience, good lesson, and I hope you take something from that story. Much love.